Okay, I want you to paint a picture in your mind. Go full 4K with me here. Imagine storm dark waters, just endless, churning, covering everything you've ever known. And suspended right in the middle of all that chaos is a single, sealed wooden vessel. Gopher wood, pitched perfectly inside and out. And within it, a world in waiting. Literally, the entire potential for life is held in this state of suspended animation. It's like a cosmic seed, totally protected from the raging waters, just waiting for the command to begin again. Now, this is a story you think you know, but hidden deep inside it is a cosmic secret about how anything new is ever truly born. And right at the very heart of this epic, the Holy Zohar places this profound and kind of startling paradox. It says right there at the start, Noah, a righteous man, did not bring forth generations until he entered the ark. Now just stop and think about that for a second. This isn't some minor detail. The Zohar is telling us this is the key. This is the master key that unlocks the entire mystical dimension of the story. And that right there is the central question of our deep dive today. Why? Why would Noah, the tzaddik, the absolute perfect spiritual seed of his entire generation, be unable to fulfill the most basic commandment, to be fruitful and multiply? Why did he have to be completely cut off from the world, sealed up in a box, floating on waters of pure chaos, before he could create a future? What is the secret that's locked inside that floating vessel? Well, to answer that, we are going on a journey, and we're going to peel back every single layer of the story. First, we have to understand the pre-flood system crash, in a section we're calling A World Without a Future. Then, we'll uncover the secret of concealment. From there, we'll actually map the divine architecture with the Sephirot of survival. We'll go inside the cosmic reboot, witness the creation from oneness, and then, and this is the important part, we'll bring it all home to understand your life as an ark. Because, this isn't just about ancient history. This is about the fundamental mechanics of how you, right now, create anything new and lasting in your own life. So to really get why Noah couldn't have kids, we first need to understand the world he was living in. And we're not just talking about a world full of bad people. From a mystical viewpoint, the entire operating system of reality itself had been corrupted. It was just overloaded with this spiritual static, a kind of noise that made true, holy generation, it made it impossible. The whole system was crashing. Yeah, and the specific term the mystics use for this corruption is zohama. Now, as these mystical sources explain, this wasn't just some metaphor for being bad. When the primordial serpent tempted Adam and Eve, it literally injected a spiritual impurity, a zohama, into the very DNA of humanity. And this corruption was passed down, which resulted in a flawed lineage. Just think of Cain. The Zohar calls him the nest of impurity. His very existence was a product of this spiritual static, a creation totally disconnected from its holy source. The world was, quite literally, running on corrupted code. And this was exactly Noah's problem. He was a tzaddik gamor, a completely righteous individual. You can think of him as a perfect seed. But the soil of the world, the very fabric of the reality he was living in, it was poisoned with this zohama. So it doesn't matter how perfect the seed is, right? It just cannot produce enduring, holy offspring, what the Torah calls toldot, if the ground itself is toxic. The external environment was actively fighting against the creation of a holy future. Okay, so if the world is a corrupted system, how in the world do you reboot it? This brings us to a core mystical principle, and this is maybe one of the most important in all of Kabbalah. For anything new, pure, and holy to be born, it must first be concealed. It needs a protected space, a safe mode, totally insulated from the corruption of the outside world. The Hebrew term for this is Hester, sacred concealment. It's the principle that all true creation begins in darkness, in a hidden, protected state. Just think about it. A seed has to be buried in the dark earth before it can sprout. A child gestates for 9 months in the concealed darkness of the womb before it can be born. This is not an accident. It's a cosmic law. Potential has to be shielded while it develops its core essence before it can be revealed to the world. And the ark? The ark is the ultimate expression of Hester. This means the ark was not just a boat. It was a piece of cosmic technology. So let's use a modern analogy here. The ancient world, saturated with zohama, was like a computer whose entire operating system is just riddled with viruses and malware. It's blue screening constantly. So the flood wasn't just a punishment, it was a full system wipe, a hard reset. The ark, the teva, was a protected safe mode, an isolated container where the essential data could be preserved during the wipe. And Noah and the animals, they were the core kernel, the essential drivers and all your user files kept safe from the format. And the post-flood world? That was a clean system reinstall, ready for some pure code to finally run. Okay, so to really understand the deep mechanics of this cosmic reboot, we have to look at the divine blueprint of reality itself, the 10 sephirots. These are the 10 emanations, or you could say channels of divine energy, through which the infinite creator interacts with our world. They are the underlying architecture of everything. And as we're about to see, the story of Noah's Ark maps onto this structure absolutely perfectly. Let's break this down, because this is really the engine room of the whole operation. First, you have Noah. He is the embodiment of the Sephirah of Yesod, which means foundation. I want you to think of Yesod as the channel of life force, the procreative power, the conduit that brings potential into reality. It's always associated with the tzaddik, the righteous one, who is the foundation of the world. He's carrying the seed of all future life. Okay, next up, the Ark itself. This represents Malhut, or kingdom. Malhut is always the vessel, the receiver, the physical reality that gives form to potential. It's the womb that receives the creative energy from Yesod. And finally, the entire process of being sealed inside, that state of Hester, is governed by the supernal energy of Bina, which means understanding. Bina is known as the supernal mother, the ultimate cosmic womb, the hidden state of deep gestation that comes before any revelation. So you see the flow? You have the seed Noah as Yesod, entering the vessel, the Ark as Malhut, all held within the protective gestating energy of the cosmic womb, Bina. And you know, this three-part process, it mirrors the fundamental steps of all creation, from the birth of the entire cosmos to the birth of a simple idea. First, there has to be tzimtzum, which means contraction or withdrawal. To create anything new, you first have to clear a space. So the flood is a kind of terrestrial tzimtzum, washing away the corrupted world to make room. Second comes Hester, the concealment we've been talking about. The divine seed of potential is placed within a protected vessel so it can develop. Noah, the seed of the new world, is placed in the ark. And third, after that gestation is complete, comes Hitgalut, or revelation. The new, rectified creation emerges from its concealed state into the cleansed space. Noah steps out onto dry land. It's the same pattern on every single level of reality. So what was actually happening inside that ark during this cosmic reboot? The Zohar is really clear that this wasn't just some chaotic floating zoo. No, it was a spiritual crucible. It was a place of profound purification where the fragmented world was brought back to a state of ultimate unity and potential. And the numbers that the Torah uses in the story, well, they're the keys to understanding this whole process. Let's start with the number one ark. It represents Achdut, or unity. You know, in the corrupted world outside, everything was fragmented, every creature was at odds with every other creature. But inside the ark, all of these separate, disparate elements, the entire potential of the next world, were brought together and unified in a single vessel. All the divisions, all the hierarchies of that broken world were temporarily just nullified. It returned creation to a state of oneness, like a single thread of potential waiting to be woven into a new tapestry. Next, let's talk about the number 7. We see it everywhere, right? 7 pairs of clean animals, 7 days waiting for the flood. 7 is the number of structure in both the physical and the spiritual worlds. It represents the 7 days of creation and, even more deeply, the 7 lower sephirot, those divine energies that govern our emotional and spiritual reality, everything from love to sovereignty. So the repetition of 7 signifies a process of purification and a structured rebuilding. Inside that ark, the very emotional and spiritual DNA of the world was being repaired and reordered, one sephirah at a time, getting it ready for a stable and holy existence. And then this whole process culminates with the number 10. 10 represents completion, the full, perfected structure. I mean, just as the world was created with 10 divine utterances and the Torah was given with 10 commandments, the potential that was emerging from the ark was now a complete and perfected system. It contained the restored blueprint for a world built on the foundation of all 10 sephirot, a balanced, whole creation, totally ready to emerge and to flourish. You can even visualize this entire process as a shift in spiritual color. The journey begins in darkness, total pitch-black concealment of the sealed ark, that womb-like state of Hester. Then, at the moment of emergence, there is a flash of pure white light. This is the raw, undifferentiated flow of divine potential, kind of like a beam of white light that contains all colors within it, but isn't yet manifest. And finally, this light passes through the prism of the new reality and reveals itself as harmony, the full spectrum of colors in the rainbow. The rainbow is the sign of the new covenant, and it represents a world where all the distinct elements can now coexist in a beautiful, balanced, and structured whole. And this brings us right to that cinematic moment. The waters have receded, the command is given, the great door of the ark opens, and this brilliant white light just floods the darkness. Noah and his family and all of creation's potential, they step out not just onto dry land, but into a brand new reality. A cleansed world, a blank slate, a freshly installed operating system just waiting to receive new life. And now, finally, we have the answer to our central question. Why could Noah have children now? It's because the zohama was gone. The world, that vessel of Malchut, was no longer poisoned soil. It was pure, fertile ground. The hardware had been completely wiped clean. So now the pure software of Noah's righteous soul, his essence of Yesod, could finally interface with the world properly. The seed could be planted and it could produce Toldot, holy, enduring generations that would form the foundation of a new world. The system was, at last, ready to run. So we've journeyed through this incredible, cosmic, mystical process of recreation. But the Zohar is never just telling us ancient history. It is always giving us a blueprint for our own lives. The principle of creative concealment, of the ark, is something we all need to understand and apply. So let's ask the real question. What are the arks in our own lives? Okay, to make this super accessible, let's start with a video game version. I want you to think of the pre-flood world as a glitchy, corrupted game level. It's totally unplayable. So God hits the main reset button. That's the flood. The ark acts like a save room or a respawn chamber, that protected space where your progress is safe. Noah and the animals, they're in the essential character files being saved. And when the door opens, boom, they respawn into a brand new, bug-free version of the world, ready to play the next level. And now for the deeper cosmic engineering takeaway. This one is for all of us. When your life's system, and that could be your work, your relationships, your inner world, when it's overwhelmed by chaos, by noise, by that spiritual zohama, you cannot create anything new and lasting. It's impossible. True progress, true generation, requires a retreat. It requires you to consciously create a personal arc. Now, this could be a period of silence, a meditation retreat, a weekend away from technology, any protected space for rest, integration, and reset. You have to enter that safe mode for your soul before you can relaunch a new, better, and more creative version of yourself into the world. So we want to leave you with this final thought to carry with you this week. Take a real look at your own world. What is the chaos, the zoma, the spiritual static that's preventing you from generating your own true toldot, your own enduring legacy? What is the part of your life that needs a cleansing flood? And, maybe most importantly, what will be your ark? What protected space will you build to carry your essential self through the storm so you can emerge renewed? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.